Thank you so much for joining us again this week as we continue our conversation from last week. So I will replay the song that started this episode. I will replay the song that started this discussion last week, and then we will just jump right back into our conversation. Enjoy. Yeah. And the biggest thing that really Samael has been working with us so intensely about is that we can hear the divine outside of ourselves when we can recognize that we are divine. And when we recognize our own divinity and we can hold that knowledge and we can stand in it, the more we can stand in that knowledge that we are divine, the more powerfully we can recognize that in others, both on this earthly plane and the guidance that we're being given. And that has been a massive thing that Tava and I have both really been working with. And her work through Samael and these Lilith workshops are a wonderful, wonderful way to start recognizing that and laying these things down. And I feel like really ultimately the heart of the work that we are both doing, and I think probably the heart of the work of every healer, whether it's overtly obvious or not, is really to help everyone to break away and get rid of those things that are stopping us from seeing our own worth and recognizing our own divinity. And that ultimately that's the basis for all healing, is that when you can recognize that, then everything shifts. And so I think it's just a matter of the modalities that we use to do that. You know, I'm using song and music and nature and movement. And really, Tava is too, you know, but it's a matter of what types of teachings, what are the areas that we need in order to grow and learn in, what are the things we need to hear from someone else, what are the things we need to experience or the experiences we need to be held in order to discover and let those things down. And I think that's exactly what the building the bridge is for me, because I remember Samael saying I was trying to create this when he's kept talking about it. I was like, all right, it's sort of like a system where people do this and this and this. And it was like, well, it depends on where everybody is. And it makes total sense when you talk about it as, you know, someone showing up and having various types of mobility issues or whatever it is. Each person's going to need that ramp, that bridge to Amnivara to look different. It's going to need to be built of different kinds of stairs, different kinds of things in order to get them to it, because they have a different set of obstacles or perceived obstacles that are in their way of being able to see their divinity, of feeling their worth and knowing and creating that connection to that space.
When you were talking about sort of seeing the divine and our idea of self-worth, I want to tell a quick little story. It has been a very difficult week media-wise and in our society. And I'm not going to go into it because Lord knows everyone's been being hit with it on all sides. But I was in a little bit of despair earlier this week. And I said, something about Samael, oh my goodness, there's so many people. Like, I know that the human brain, it's a defense mechanism. Our human brains are wired to watch out for danger. They are, don't put your hand on the stove. Oh no, you put your hand on the stove again. There's something in our brain that goes, watch out for the stove. As we're social creatures and we try to pass messages around. But unfortunately, when that goes crazy, and we have a medium like the internet where we can just amplify things over and over and over and over again. I was saying to Samael, I keep seeing nothing but messages of division and hate and division and hate and these huge platforms for it. What are we supposed to do? And Samael said to me, are there no Christs among you who amplify the message of love? And I was like, who do we have that amplifies love as much as others amplify division? And I was trying to think of somebody in the media or something. And then he said, then you must become one, Inshallah. Even if my platform is little, even if it's my books and this lovely, lovely podcast. I don't have millions of people reading my stuff. We don't have millions of listeners. But if you think about it, and I thought this was really interesting, are there no Christs among you? Is there no one who's willing to walk among the people and talk about love as loudly as they can? If there are enough of us singing love and painting love and passing out love and creating situations where the people around us become empowered by love. Eventually, we do have a movement that can change the world. Jesus had, what, 12 people, right? 12. In his day, and I'm sorry for anybody out here who doesn't like me using this word, but technically it's correct. Jesus was a cult leader in his day. He had some very passionate adherents and not many of them. And there were lots of other moving preachers moving around that same area at the same time. But something about his message started things rolling. And what Samael wants us to do is stop waiting for someone to come save us, for us to understand that we are also divine. Even if we're forgetting, even if we have limited resources, we are still divine. And we all know 12 people. Love them as hard as we can. And that's the way that we counteract negativity and division. Because eventually our 12 people connect to another 12 people. And then they connect to another 12 people. And eventually it gets to the point where the people who want to poison us against each other can't convince most of us to do that. And their message will die, at least until it tries to rear its head again. So when you feel despondent, when you feel alone, remember that the divine are behind you. Remember that you are a divine soul, and reach out to your closest 12 people and love them as hard as you can.
That quote that, be the change that you wish to see in the world is one of the things that I hold really close to me all the time, is that sense of, it's exactly what you were talking about, the rather than looking for someone to save us, each of us can be the change, not talk about the change or say change needs to happen, but just be it. That in itself will have that ripple effect that you were talking about. And I was in the same kind of place that Tava was talking about, where I was really struggling with things that were happening and trying to kind of regain a perspective and feeling a little bit like things were just out of control. And again, I was asking, what do I do? And I tend to have that kind of thing at the barn. I was in a frenzy sort of place mentally and emotionally when I got there, but I'm like, this is the place where I can connect again. The horses and the incredible birds and the nature and everything there. And so I was asking, what do I do? How do I do this? How can I help? And it was like, do what you do. And I was, putting salve on wounds on a horse and feeding him and helping. And it was like, some of it is just continuing to do the things that we do in a physical way, the caring for others, the continuing to do the things and honoring and recognizing the good that it does. But it was also a deeper sense of, what do I do? What is it that I am here to do? And it was sing and bring healing and connect people with the divine within themselves so that they can connect with the divine in other ways, and bring in guides and all of this stuff. And so I thought, okay, I need to sing. And I thought, all right, well, I'll do an energy session for basically like the entire world, and I will sing and I will channel it and I will put it out there. But then I thought, but what if I did that and I recorded it, and other people could play it, and they could maybe even sing along with it and add their voices, and other people might hear that and play it. And I started imagining how it could spread through the whole world. Like, what if we could get this recording out to so many people that could then be broadcasting the energy of unification consciousness, the energy of we are all divine, the energy that breaks down and transmutes the illusion of separation so that we can see that we are all one. And then I thought, I need my husband to sing with me and to play the music with me, because the two of us together, and Samael has talked about how our souls have traveled many, many lifetimes together, and the work that we do together is amplified. And then there's that whole, where two or more are gathered. So I was like, okay, the two of us getting together and creating music that is bringing through all of this energy and amplifies it, and then put it out there. And I had this image of like the little triangles on its side that is like the play button on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And it was play for peace. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is what I need to do. I can do something, and that something is creating this and putting this out there. And so we came home, and that day sat in the studio, and this incredible drum percussion kind of thing just started coming through my husband. Like, it was just incredible. And so we recorded that, and this amazing drone flute thing started coming through, and I'm going to be adding vocals to it, and we're just going to be adding all of these layers and then putting it out there for free for people to listen to and play and share as much as humanly possible to help to amplify these energies. And so, this is the way that I'm told to do it, because it's do what you do. And Tava was told to essentially do what she does. Walk in the streets, create community, speak and teach, and do all of this. And so I encourage each of you to think, if someone said to you, do what you do, what is it that you do? And how can you do, and just do it. It's not even so much a how, just do it, because it is what you do. It's who you are. And by just being that in whatever way, however that looks, it's going to spread. And we will become the dominant energy. And it's really like an energetic law that whatever the dominant energy is, the other energies will start to resonate with. And so let's be the dominant energy, not in a, dominance kind of sense, but the most pervasive and most aligned, most coherent energy out there, so that we can help to give the other not as coherent, not as aligned energies something to resonate with.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've been noticing as I watch people around me step into their power and find their work is that once they have determined what it is, it takes off. And the reason it takes off is because they started their journey by saying, what is needed? When you walk up to someone in distress or someone in a hospital bed, you don't just start doing stuff. You say, what do you need? And there are things that our community desperately needs. And if you can provide those, then you are going to find yourself overwhelmed with spiritual tasks really, really quickly. And Samael actually has something here to say on that. He said, endurance, place endures. Be a place of comfort, of balance, of awe, of refuge. Be the way others see the divine made material. There were times of forgetting where the singer did not remember and could not tend to the temple. And in those times, the ancestors and angels walked the path and reset the stones. The birds provided music. The place endured. Become a place and watch others come to tend to you when it is needed. Visit their creations when you have the resources. And soon the temple will become a city, a heaven. This is the nature of heaven.
Wow.
So if you go, I don't know what my work is, or I don't work with any deity, or I don't, that is not a failure on your part. You have energies that have been building that are unique to you. And anything you've created, you've planted seeds out there already. If not in this lifetime, perhaps in a previous one. And if you reach out and become a place of refuge and healing to others around you, then in the times when you can't be there to tend your own temple, to tend your own place, the ancestors and the angels will do it for you. And when you do remember, they will sing out in gratitude. Amnivara, right? And then you can tend their temples as well. And if everyone is creating and looking out for each other and trying to be as in residence in their places as they can be, that is where heaven is. Not something we have to buy our way into by being some sort of perverted version of purity. Heaven is connection and blessings shared.
And everyone knowing and recognizing their divinity and the divinity of everyone and everything else.
Yeah.
And I think something that popped up for me when you were talking about, when you find that thing and you realize this is your life's work, there's this incredible amount of like momentum and impetus. This like energy rises up and you want to start doing all the things all at once. And especially if you're me, there's sometimes it's easy to get also overwhelmed with the enormity of it, or the idea of, oh my gosh, now I know what I need to do, but it feels bigger. It might feel bigger than you. Like for me, that has felt like, oh my goodness, this feels so grand and so amazing and so beyond my wildest dreams of anything I would ever have wanted somebody to tell me was who I am and what I'm capable of and what I can bring through to the world. That sometimes it's easy for that to then start to provoke those parts of you that are still holding on to, I'm not worthy, I can't do something this huge. When you really start to come face to face with your magnificence, with the extent to which you are divine and the magnitude of what you can bring through to the world because you are recognizing that, oftentimes there are things that come up in you in that moment that it stirs those really deep things that say, oh no, you're small, you're not that big. And sometimes there's the fear of what happens if I let myself believe this and then I find out I'm wrong. What happens if I try and I fail? Or the things that say this is too much, you can't do that, or it's too much work, or it's too much time, or you can't do that along with everything else, or, all those things that tend to pop up. I want everybody to know that it is normal and natural for those things to happen. It's not a sign that you're not supposed to do it. It's just a recognition of your humanness and the programming that has been going in since day one in this incarnation, and probably lots more before that, that it's not aligned with. So when those things come up, if you can recognize, all right, this isn't a sign, this isn't my deeper knowing telling me that I'm not capable of this or telling me not to do it. This is that part of me that's still wounded and that's still confused and still stuck under the you're not worthy, all the things that cultures and societies tell us we are. And if you are having trouble working through that, reach out to someone who will know and recognize your divinity from the moment you walk in. Somebody that knows that they are divine and that you are as well, and will help to bring that out from you. Whether it's going to Tava's Lilith and the Lost City workshops, whether it's listening again to some of the podcasts where we assert that, yes, you in fact are divine, you do have a divine purpose, you do have a path that is absolutely amazing and that is supported by all of these different aspects of the divine as well. Maybe it's an energy healing session, maybe it's taking a class with me, or listening to some of the songs that I sing that help to release those things or help to transmute those energies or reconnect you. Maybe it's a type of talk therapy, or maybe it's just going for a walk and sitting in the wild and sitting there until you really can feel that connection with everything again. But I encourage you to find that thing, or to just keep doing things until you're able to work yourself out of it, because it feels so big, because you're really tapping into the fullness of who you are. Like, it really takes us all the way back to what Samael was saying at the beginning, which was you think you end at your skin or maybe even the room, but how huge we are. And so sometimes when we start to really recognize how huge we are and what a huge impact we have already without knowing it, it can be a little bit like intimidating, of like, whoa, now I need to be really careful about everything that I do. It can sort of send in perfectionism, or it can kind of tap
Yes.
into whatever the things are that normally tend to pop up. But there are ways of working through those and letting them go. And it's not always as hard as you think it is. Like, sometimes it's simply a matter of having the right moment, hearing the right music, or having the right vibration, or just the right words, something that just shifts things all of a sudden, or just sitting and a bird song and a bird singing it to you or bringing it through, holding a stone that all of a sudden just awakens something in you. So I used to think, oh, I don't have the energy to do all that work, all that shadow work. People always talk about doing shadow work and all this stuff. And it was like, it sounds miserable. And like, I don't really want to spend a big section of my life or big section of my time focusing on this stuff that's going to feel terrible. But what I think Tava and I have both realized is that some of it feels kind of terrible, but it's so different than the way I'd imagined it would be. It doesn't have to be this miserable thing. It can just be oh, so I'm not all that? Really? And then stepping into the feeling that's the opposite of that. So it just doesn't have to be a hard, long, miserable thing.
No, and I mean, if you think, like, there is nothing, sorry, Jen, you are very special, but there's nothing special about me and Jen, right? It's
Yeah.
not like we got some sort of special kiss on the forehead when we were born and boom, we are two women finding our way forward spiritually, just like all of you all are finding your way forward spiritually out there. We just happen to decide, screw it, we're going to make a podcast, right?
We just put
Um,
it out there for
we just put
everybody
it
else
out
to hear
there.
and listen to.
And what we found is we now have a community that has sprung up around us because of the podcast, and we are connecting to people that we never would have found otherwise. I'll give you another example. I wasn't really going to talk much about it, but this story really illustrates what Jen just said. So I paint, as a lot of you know, and I have tried 2 times to make an oracle deck in the past. At first, I was going to do a tarot deck, which is, 70 plus paintings. And I think I got about 6 of them done. And it was such a huge task, I just kind of stopped doing it. Then I decided I was going to embroider a deck, and I think I got a grand total of 1 of those embroideries done. And it was one of those things where I was like, I really want to put out a tool for people, but it wasn't right. I couldn't push through perfectionism required that I had that was requiring me to paint and paint and paint or sew and sew and sew and reconsider every little stitch. About 2 weeks ago, Samael showed up and said, people need tools, Umshallah. And I'm like, people have tools. Have you been to a metaphysical store recently? And he said that some people needed Lilith oriented tools. And I was like, I don't really know what that is. And he told me I was going to paint a deck. And I went, yeah, okay, I've tried that before. And he gave me the names. He told me, get paper. And he gave me 44 names straight off, told me different ways that the deck was read, and told me, start painting. And I'm like, okay, I got to get down. And he's like, I've never heard him this insistent. Now. So I grabbed what was closest and easiest and most portable, which was watercolors. Now, I have not watercolored in well over a decade. And one of the reasons I don't watercolor is that watercolors run, they move in unpredictable ways. You can't mix them extremely precisely. At least I don't have the experience to do that. And, they show the sketch marks through when you paint. And basically, I don't have control over them. And that scares me. And he told me now. So I got some watercolor paper and I sat down and I had 44 paintings to do. And I started the very first one and I went, oh, it's not quite centered. And he was like, it's done, move. And I'm like, what do you mean it's done? I have to do it over. No, move. He told me the pictures did not matter, that it was the energy of it, that people needed a tool and I needed to get them the tool. And that me sitting there and obsessing over what people might think of my painting skills was serving no one. That was really kind of a boot in the butt. So I was like, okay. And I put one aside thinking, maybe I'll try to paint it when he's not looking. Well, of course, he's always looking. So I don't know how I thought I was going to pull that off. Then I did the second one. And the second card is actually titled Samael. And oh boy, you could see the borders I'd drawn. The paint ran crazy. The colors weren't quite right. And I was like, no, 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 this is you. I have to get it just perfect. And he said, perfect never comes. Stop waiting for it. Move. And I put that aside. After about painting 5, I started to push through this idea of perfectionism. Started to stop thinking what people would think of me if I were to publish an imperfect book. And I, on the other side of it, felt like I was painting like a kindergartner paints. Just enjoying it, except I didn't have a $2 palette. I had a much more expensive watercolor palette. It was great. Colors were rich. The water flowed in unpredictable ways, and I took delight watching it run. I started to realize it didn't really matter if something was slightly off to the left. I was full of joy. I enjoyed the process. I stopped thinking about what was somebody going to say when I showed them 44 imperfect paintings, because I didn't have a choice. There was a seraphim not letting me slow down. Ladies and gentlemen, I painted 45 paintings, one for the card back, between a Saturday and a Thursday night. 45 watercolors. Had them all scanned, put them into the program to make the cards, and then started the obsession with cropping and editing to try to fix them, where he kept telling me, no, it is enough. Move. Yesterday, I sent it off to the printer for my first sample deck. I am in love with it, unlike anything else that I have ever created, because it is imperfect, because it is flawed, because it is a bare souled, messy project that is so full of joy and so full of acceptance of my own limitations and broken places that it is the most Lilith energy thing I have ever touched. And once I hit send yesterday, I just sat there and I thought, oh my God, I love it, but what have I done? Everyone's going to think I'm a horrid artist. And Samael said, well done, Upshala. So, this is what we are asking you to do. While you look for that life's work, do not be afraid to do it badly. Do not be afraid to be flawed. Do not be afraid that you don't have all the information, because perfect never comes. And you don't want to wait your whole life. Take the manuscript out of the dresser drawer and publish it. Start the metaphysical book club, even though you don't know how to lead anything. Just bring some chocolate chip cookies and some coffee and get a book and start talking. Go out there and do the thing. This incarnation is short and you are needed.
Yes, absolutely. I had a similar kind of thing happen. I'd say it's kind of amazing how our lives just parallel each other. The same week, I was about to make music to go along with Tava's first Lilith in the Lost City class. And it was like the night before she was going to go do it, I think, or I thought it was. Apparently, I had an extra day, but I thought it was like immediate. And I thought, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Do you need music for that? Like for this Four Mirrors ritual? And she was like, that would be amazing. I was just going to play one of the other things that you had. And I had 30 minutes between that moment and when I had to leave to pick up my daughter. And I knew the whole rest of the night there was really going to be no time. But I was like, okay, ask Samael, give me prompts. I'm just going to record something. I'm just going to channel something and see what happens. So I get up, she sends me the prompts. I instantly just turn off everything, set up the recording, and just start going. And I sing for like 21 minutes, and which was literally right up until the second that I had to leave. So I sang, hit stop from recording, and then ran out the door. And as I did that, it hit me so strongly. It was like, you cannot edit this. You are not supposed to edit this. And as I was going along, because I'm channeling it, I don't know exactly where the note is going to be until it starts coming out of my mouth. And I'm like, oh, okay, up here is where it was supposed to be. And then I would just sing it again after already knowing where that note was going to be so that I could hit it nicely. And so I was like, well, this will be easy. I'll go back and I'll cut out all those parts where I didn't hit the note the first time. And then, everybody will just hear me perfectly hitting that note the next time, and still not perfectly. But it was like, no, you can't do that, because this is music that is supposed to be played when she is asking people to face and accept and love all the parts of themselves that are not perfect, and accept that they are imperfect and the perfection in that. And I was like, I cannot present something that I have perfected or I have gone back and made just so to lead people through this energetically. I need to do what we're asking them to do and put themselves into this raw, vulnerable, it's wonderful just the way it is kind of place. And it was a really empowering thing. It was scary and it was empowering. The idea of, I'm going to put this out there as a demonstration and a walking with you. Like, I'm kind of going first and saying, okay, here are all the kind of mess ups along my way to help people do that. And I thought, it was really good because I've talked about, with putting out albums, and I've been recording more and more things and more songs. And I've started just being like, good enough. Like, I like the energy of it. It feels the way I want it to feel. And just putting it on Bandcamp and
Yeah.
going, oh my gosh, I recorded that an hour ago. And it is now up for the world to see and buy and download. And then yeah, the same thing that you were talking about of like once you hit send of, oh, what's the world gonna think? It's like I know the whole story of its imperfection and why that's a great thing, but what if one of the people that I know that are really into music listen to it and they're like, wow, like that is so off key, or that note is so flat. How did she put that out there? And all of those fears started coming in, but it was like, if I do that, if I wait and I do what like Coldplay does, with an album, and then there's like a team of people going through and sifting it with a fine-tooth comb and fixing all the little things and making everything just right. And this is not an insult. I love Coldplay. I love Coldplay. But the idea of like, what a professional artist usually does is has a team of mixers and masters going through and making sure everything is exactly right and amplifying just the right things. And I mean, it is an incredible art and what they do is amazing. But I don't have time. If I do that, I might get 10 songs out in the next year. And people need this now. They need this
Yeah.
energy. I want people, and I'm constantly creating for instances, Tava going in these workshops or these things that I know about, or a friend's family member is dying and needs the help. And it's funny because I realized it's exactly like, I think Michael, even though I don't hear him the way that you hear Samael, I think it's the same thing. I think Michael is doing the same thing, going, no, it's good enough. Put it out there. People need it. These are tools. They're never going to get it if you sit back in a place of perfection and waiting for that. And I actually wrote it down how you were saying that Samael said, perfect never comes. Stop waiting for it. And I wrote that down and underlined it. I'm like, I'm going to put that on everything.
And I have to tell you, I took that music out there and I said to the women who were in my workshop, and it was funny, the workshop was supposed to be like 3 hours, and bless all of them, we were still doing Lilith after 5, and everybody was going strong. And it was an incredible experience. But we went upstairs to do the 4 mirrors ritual. And I explained, I said, the music is from Jennifer Taylor. And we had several podcast listeners in the group. And there was someone there who hadn't heard the podcast before, and they said, "Oh, Jennifer Taylor." And someone else said, "Oh, she has the voice of an angel." And I started laughing and I was like, well, we definitely have angels around her, that's for certain. And I explained, I said, this was one take. It was at my request. It is not edited. It may have flaws, it may have imperfections, but do you know what it is? It's what I like to call BLE, Big Lilith energy. It is let's open our mouths and raise our voices and sing full throated and accept the fact that we are imperfect, but that doesn't exclude us from being divine. And everybody said, "Oh, we wouldn't want it edited. We wouldn't want it. This is perfect." And we took it upstairs and played it as each of these women walked through the ritual and had their personal time with Lilith. And I did the guided meditation through the 4 mirrors. And there was a lot of crying. It set the stage so beautifully. I mean, and I remember standing in front of the altar and I said, an altar to Lilith is an altar to yourself. And we had roses there and a statue of Lilith and all the poppets that everyone had made and our little red flameless candles because we were in a 1700s building and we didn't want to burn the place to the ground, and the incense going and your music making a sacred space of this. And I thought, this could not be more perfect. There is no more perfect music than this for this moment. So we will put in the notes if you guys would like to download the Lilith ritual music. It is extremely empowering and it's going to be played at rituals all over the place over the next year or so.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. So the instructions were to channel Samael, Lilith, Archangel Michael, and I guess it's Archangel Gabriel. I tend to go back and forth between saying that. So it was Samael, Lilith, Michael, and Gabriel, and it was a wild experience. It was like they were all singing together through me, but then they would each sort of take the mic for a moment and kind of sing a little bit more in the front and everybody supporting them. And then another one would kind of take the lead and then a different one. It was a really unique experience doing that. I don't think I've ever channeled knowingly four different beings at once. And something occurred to me when you were talking. I was like, I don't know exactly how we do this. And maybe we just turn on comments for the podcast, but I would love to have us have a space where everybody shares their imperfect perfection things, like a
Oh,
poem that you've written that you just love, that it hasn't been perfectly edited, it hasn't done all these things, a drawing that you made, a song that you sang, just a way that you organized a part of your house that you're proud of, just something. Like, show us and share with us in a way that you can put out there something that's like, I love this. This is me being me. And I'm embracing that it's imperfect, because, Tava and I automatically have easy ways of being like, I'm going to create it and put it out there. And there's something so empowering about that. But not everybody necessarily has that kind of outlet. And to have a space where we could all share and validate each other's sharing would be amazing.
so I don't know if this is helpful, but I now have a Tava Bear Discord channel that has, and it's actually being run by some students for me at Shenandoah University who monitor it when I can't be there. But I know there are a lot of people moving to Discord now, and it's a place you can post pictures, you can post recordings, you can post comments. We could literally make, I think already on there, I know there's a branch they've made it called Demonic Craft Circle, which is all Lilith ritual stuff. But I could get them to start a channel that says, like, we can call it whatever we want, Lilith sharing circle or something like that. And if people wanted to post things on the Tava Baird channel under that, then I can give you access to it, Jen. And that
Yeah.
might be an easy way for everybody to do it.
Yeah, and
It
it
already
sounds like a
exists.
good kind of safe space to do that,
Yes.
because I was thinking I want to make sure that it's a safe space where people feel like they can share that, and it's a place where it's going to be honored, and we can honor and
Yes.
see and witness each other doing these brave things, because there is
Right.
something really powerful about witnessing each other and being witnessed in doing it. I'm so excited about that. Yeah, and I'll just have to find out how to Discord
Yeah. And
and put
I'm
all
not,
that in there.
I think I put it under Tava Baird. I might have put it under Dark Flower, but here's what I'll do. In the show note, I will put a link to the Discord channel and tell you what I'm going to do is get on and let the people who do my they go through and make sure nobody's being nasty and stuff and filter stuff out, and they also put things into different categories and stuff for me. I'll get on this evening and ask them to create a category specifically for this, and in the show notes we will put a link to it, so if you would like to share, you can jump right on and put it there, and Jen and I will see it.
That would be so amazing. And I do want to make a little note, because I realize we are so used to this word at this point, and we are so used to a different understanding, that I know she used the word demonics
Craft circle,
craft
yeah.
circle. It is not what you think it is. There's
No,
a Samael has given it's a completely different understanding, just like he's given us a completely different understanding of just about everything else. It is not at all what you think it is. It's all good.
it's
Kind of
all
like
good.
fallen angel. Think of like how we now understand the difference of a fallen angel. Same kind of thing. So I just wanted to put that out there in case somebody's like,
Yes,
wait, what?
do not let it scare
Don't
you.
freak out. Don't
We're
freak
not
out.
talking about things. It's actually a word we're trying to reclaim, sort of in the way that reclaim the word witch. So many of us are demonized by our society. We're told we are too young, too old, too thin, too fat. That we belong in one particular gender, that we belong in one particular role, that we're always being put in these boxes. And we shouldn't have to live in boxes. Samael and Lilith talk at length about the acceptance of everyone for who they are, living in a concept of and, not or. And so A lot of times in my Lilith classes, I will say something like, "Hello, all you little demons." And by that, I don't mean that you are popping out from under people's beds and dragging them, into the fiery depths of some inferno. What I mean by that is that these are people who have been demonized by society, yet we are still divine. And the Oracle deck and a whole bunch of new writings are about to come out that explain all of this from Samael's point of view. The idea of fallen angels and demons and devils and all that, a lot of those concepts are created by earthly men in order to maintain power, in order to have something to threaten people with. Think about how whenever someone tries to speak up against the powers that be, how quickly people are called witches and devil worshippers, right? It's a tool. It's a weapon used to keep people down. And so when I say something like demonic craft circle, it's tongue in cheek. It means that people who have been demonized or feel demonized came together to make something lovely and fun and reclaim their own power from those who would put them down. So I know it's a hard word to get past, but I have a feeling we're probably going to be talking about this on an upcoming podcast soon. So
Yeah, thank you for that explanation because I knew I was like, wait a minute, this is one of those things that I know at least certain listeners will hear and go, "Oh no, okay, I've crossed over. I knew I'd gone off the path or this is, I was like just didn't want that to throw anybody off or freak anybody out because
yeah,
it's a new
exactly. It's a
understanding of a
new
word and it
concept.
takes a while to get, just like fallen angel, it takes
Yeah.
a while to get to kind of reorient around this new way of using it. So,
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, so Samael, who listeners, if you've gotten this far in the podcast, you know him very well by now. He is a teacher, he is a protector, he is a guide, he is calm. He very much wants what is best for us and sees all of us as sacred. But you think that the world says he's the king of demons, right? So that gives you an idea of the shift we're looking at here.
yeah.
How can someone like, Samael is one of those people, just like Lilith, well, people, one of those entities, just like Lilith, who was demonized so that those in power could stay in power. And we don't believe these awful things about them, and we don't believe them about you.
Exactly. Well, I
But I
believe
think
it
it might
is
be time to
time.
sing.
Yeah, I think it is time to sing. Let's see. I am feeling inviting Archangel Michael. I have this just sweet, warm, fuzzy image of that first time together. And I'm going to invite him to come through and bring through the energy that he brought to me in that moment to everyone else to help them to feel that comfort and blessing. And if I can do it without crying.
I know now I'm going to cry. It's going to be the end of the
Like,
podcast.
oh.
I'm going to get on that phone call after this with my friend and be like,
Like,
and then
what's wrong?
it's gonna take a lot of splaining.
All right. So I look forward to hearing and feeling and seeing what comes through as well. So here we go.
All right.
Om Niyavara, Om Niyavara, Om Niyavara, Om Niyavara, Om Niyavara, Om Niyavara, Om
Oh my goodness. All right, some words to go with that beautiful song before the echoes of it fade. The temple is open, children. Temple is open. There is much to learn, and once you have visited, you yourself will have much to teach. Each of you is a sacred vessel. You landed here and set to work. You create. You will learn to walk between worlds. And you may repeat this again and again and again. Pass the song through the streets. Our hearts and voices are open. Our hearts and voices are one. Stone by stone, flower by flower, we will build altars to divine unity and inclusion. We will seek Metatron's patterns together. We will gather the outcast in our arms. Hear the ancestors, the angels, the gods. The temple is open. The singer has returned.
Well, thank you.
I really wish we were sponsored by Kleenex right now.
Oh,
I could use some.
yeah, it was really interesting when I was singing. I didn't realize that I was singing basically the Amnivara until I started going, but I was like, this doesn't sound like the way that I say the word now, or even the way that Samael had said the word. And I was like, I wonder if this really is the original way that he had said, because it was Niavata,
Yeah.
not like Omnivata or Aomnivata. And I was like, I
Yeah.
wonder if like that's how, like that was the original sort of way that it was said. And then I kind of, as kids do, I kind of put it in my
Right.
own words.
And I
It
mean,
felt so good.
he says it's changed over time as people added their own accents and their own words and their own backgrounds to it. It took me a minute to realize you were singing it too because it sounded so different from the first song. And I
Yeah.
was like, and then I realized I was like, that's it again. And then I thought, oh my God, you could probably do an entire album that was just that word in different content. And, that would be, I loved it. I really loved it.
Thank you.
Um, we hope today's episode has been helpful to some of you. And yeah, Jen, you're still upright, so I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. I feel even better, way, way better than I did before all of this. I feel like this has just helped to kind of shore me up and give me exactly what I needed to really step into this even more fully. And I feel like I'm like ready to go, boy. Let's throw open the doors of the temple and start welcoming people in. I am really excited, and I am also super excited to see all the different things that you as listeners are going to share with us in this Discord group. I really look forward to getting to share this experience of putting out there these things that we recognize are imperfect and loving them even more for it.
I will start. Once the group is opened, I will post one of my imperfect Oracle deck paintings.
Oh, nice.
Unedited for balance, flaws and all. I will post a couple of the images that were painted for the deck and start the group off that way.
Awesome.
And again, take a peek in the notes section for the link to that Discord and also a link to Jen's Lilith Four Mirrors ritual recording if you would like to listen to that.
Yeah, and let's put a
And
link in there too to your Lilith in the Lost City, like where people
oh,
can type
yes,
it, or
yes,
maybe just take them
yes,
straight to the sign up for that, because
yes.
it's not always super easy to find, and that would just make it easier for
Make it
people who
easier.
want to go down this path with you.
Yes, there will be a mini Lilith and the Lost City philosophy discussion. I think it's in November up in Frederick. I'll be doing a whole weekend of Lilith at Mystic Fire, which you can sign up for at mysticfire.org, which is an incredible pagan retreat just north of Charlottesville the weekend before Thanksgiving. And Lilith and the Lost City will be coming to Richmond at the end of the winter. And we'll be doing follow-up classes to the original at the Blue Ball Inn on the Oracle deck and protecting your energy and all sorts of other fun Lilith things. Dates TBA.
All right. Well, go out there in the world and be your divine self perfectly imperfectly.
Yes. Hail Lilith and hail all of you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.